This is the process of how we help people recover from years of chronic wrist pain. I'm Matt, a physical therapist that has spent the past decade treating wrist and hand repetitive strain injuries. My team and I have helped more than 3,000 individuals resolve their issues without surgery, more injections, resting, or bracing. Here are the 3 steps that we help our patients take to get back to confidently using their hands. Step 1 is establishing their current capacity. The first step is to establish how much stress the muscles at your wrists and hands can tolerate over an extended period of time, or your capacity. And as mentioned in a lot of our content, RSI is mostly associated with endurance, or our ability to handle repeated stress. To establish our capacity, we also have to know what muscle might be involved. Ideally, you would work with a good physical therapist to establish this. An example with a case of palm-sided wrist, forearm, and hand pain, what's typically involved are the flexors. Now, assessing the endurance would involve how many reps you can perform at a certain percentage of your body weight, so testing with like 2 to 3%. You can use this as a baseline and work towards being able to perform 40 to 60 repetitions without difficulty with at least 3% of your body weight. Now, this is again an objective test that we've performed and have gathered normative values for more than 3,000 individuals over the past decade. And once you reach a certain amount of physical capacity or endurance, it typically is associated with a certain amount of functional capacity, or how much you can use your wrists and hands safely. And once you understand this, you can establish a program to build your endurance. Then it's actually about safely increasing the use of your wrist and hand, which requires you to go to step 2, which is understand your stress tolerance. You have to recognize what level of activity leads to a certain amount of irritation that can make symptoms worse. Now, part of recovery is learning how much activity you can perform safely throughout the day as you're building up your capacity or endurance. And this means that having a structured approach in gradually increasing the amount of time you're typing, drawing, gaming, tattooing, cooking. What this looks like in practice is starting at an amount that does not lead to any tissue irritation. It's important to recognize that an increase in pain doesn't actually mean your tissues are irritated. It has to reach a certain level of functional disability to be considered a true flare-up. Now, while everyone is different, a true physiologic flare-up often involves more than 5 to 6 out of 10 sharpness with specific use of the muscle involved. It continues to stay sharp with every single use, and you feel physically weak as you're attempting to grip or use your wrist and hand, and that persists and lasts until the next day. And while it's better, there's still some persistent weakness on the second day. In most cases, if it's below this level and pattern of pain behavior, it's likely some level of tissue irritation, but not to the point where the tissue has actually been damaged or severely strained. Some of the pain will also be associated with sensitization, which we'll get to in step 3. Here's an example of how we typically progress. Number 1, an individual is consistent with their exercise to build up their capacity for 4 to 6 weeks. Number 2, during this time, we evaluate where times can be modified during the first month. So a 25 to 50% reduction in non-essential hand use time that might increase pain. 3, we create a progressive loading approach, and here's some examples below. For example, person 1 is alternating between 30 and 15 minutes of hand activity daily, and that's whatever it is that you do, gaming, typing, guitar, etc. Person 2 might be increasing it to 30 minutes every 2 days. Everyone is different. There's a lot of nuance with each person's case, and it requires the provider to work closely with you to help make day-to-day and weekly modifications to load, but also understand why certain presentation of symptoms may have occurred as a result of the assigned load on that day. This is also why our approach always involves direct access to us through direct messaging or direct contact at any time, so you don't have to wait for that next appointment to make better decisions on what you need to do in response to different situations relating to pain. Now, it might seem simple to do this, but in reality, it can be pretty difficult, since you have to learn how to actually make the right decisions with progressing and regressing through an improved understanding of pain. Which leads to step number 3. Step 3 is progressing and understanding pain while staying underneath this line of load. So progression and pain understanding is another difficult aspect of recovery, since it again requires gradually increasing the overall capacity over the weeks, typically in line with tissue adaptation timelines. And we typically recommend some more aggressive changes after the first 6 weeks, since this is more in line with when muscles adapt at 6 weeks and tendons adapt at 8 weeks. If you do not understand the pain or the relationship between your beliefs and pain, I really encourage you to check out some of the articles that I've listed in the description below. It will help you understand a lot more. We've also posted a lot more about the science of pain recently. You can check out in all of our videos on our YouTube channel. Now, if you don't understand the relationship between your thoughts, your chronicity, and your pain, it can also limit your progress. Now, think about the difference in recovery for these two types of individuals. Individual number one, he or she gets scared every time there's a 4 out of 10 pain. They'll stop all activity for 3 to 4 days until the pain is manageable, then try the activity again. They'll feel the elevated pain again after a few days of activity or progression and just feel like, hey, I need to stop because something is going on. So they do nothing for 2 to 3 weeks, then try again and still feel pain with barely any activity. This process can be extremely frustrating of seeing progress then losing it due to things like extended rest and not also understanding why it might happen. And that's why on the flip side, individual number two who understands pain, he or she recognizes that pain does not reflect the state of the tissues and maintains their activity despite elevated levels of pain because they recognize, well, I may have done too much and my body's being overprotective. So I'll modify a little bit and then try to do a little bit more. And then they might feel some pain again, but they understand why, so they'll continue to move, maybe modify some lower reps if there's some elevated pain, but they will keep moving and keep building their capacity until they can actually exceed what they're doing before, even though they feel some level of symptoms. And eventually the pain does go down as the sensitization changes reduce. Now, as you would expect, individual 2 always recovers more quickly and is able to improve their functional capacity more quickly because individual 1 is often the consequence of the healthcare system and social media echo chambers that create fear and prevent them from moving or doing the things that they need to despite the fact that they have pain. And it's because they don't understand pain. Now, I encourage everyone who has been struggling with chronic pain to read through mine and Elliot's posts on science and chronic pain to learn more about this. Or you can check out our videos. Those will be in the description or right over here with these cards. And if you're tired of being ping-ponged around the traditional healthcare system without a real answer and want to work with us through this specific framework, we're offering free consultations to see if we're the right team to help you. Through these consultations, we explore everything you have been dealing with, perform an actual assessment to give you real clarity about why you might still be struggling with recovery and how we'll be able to help you finally get some results. Otherwise, I hope this provides more understanding on how you can begin to think differently about chronic pain and take some helpful initial steps towards recovery. Check out this video from Elliot right here if you want to learn more about pain science.